In October 2020, Mumbai Police Commissioner Parambir Singh informed the press about a TRP manipulation scandal that was brought to surface.
BARC ने जो अपनी एनालिटिकल रिपोर्ट सबमिट की है उसमें जो नाम सामने आया है वो है रिपब्लिक टेलीविजन का, जिसमें के सस्पिशंस ट्रेंड्स टीआरपी के देखे गए और इसमें आगे की कार्रवाई की जा रही है.
While Singh mentioned the names of two relatively smaller TV channels, namely Fakta Marathi and Box Cinema, the mention of Arnab Goswami's Republic TV made this press conference quite significant. The channel has seen massive growth in the English news genre and has consistently topped TRP charts until the 39th week of 2020. It had taken the lead in the English news category while its competitors trailed with a crucial margin. With a loud Arnab Goswami at the helm of Republic TV, these ratings were not surprising, yet the Mumbai police have accused the channel of rigging TRP numbers, following which BARC suspended ratings of TV news channels for a period of 3 months. Yet, this was not the first instance of such TRP manipulation. Similar incidents were reported earlier as well. Dr. S.Y. Qureshi, the former Director General of Doordarshan, in his article in the Indian Express, stated that in 2002-2003, he had encountered the racket which was rampant and was working against the national broadcaster. According to the Quint, in the year 2012, NDTV filed a suit against Nielsen Holdings and its affiliate companies for over $1.3 billion in damages, claiming that the TRP manipulation had caused a loss of revenue for the channel. This means that television viewership data has been manipulated for years now. But what exactly are these television rating points, or TRPs as we call them? How does BARC assess these points and how is the system fooled? More importantly, why do these channels, English news ones in particular, manipulate those ratings in the first place? Now, before we move ahead, let me tell you that this video is not going to be whether Republic TV is guilty of tempering the TRPs or not. I find that this binary thought lacks the length and context of the scenarios that actually take place on ground. Instead, this is going to be an all-inclusive explainer video on TRP manipulation. BARC, or the Broadcast Audience Research Council, is a joint organization with stakeholders from the Indian Broadcasting Foundation, the Indian Society of Advertisers, and the Advertising Agencies Association of India. Viewership data from the television audience is extracted by BARC, which is further provided to the Indian broadcast ecosystem on a commercial basis. BARC releases weekly television rating points, or the TRP data as we call it, for a wide spectrum of television channels ranging from movies, sports, general entertainment channels, news, music, among many others. Now, video platforms like YouTube have a provision to analyze how many times a certain video was played online. Likewise, TRPs enable broadcasters to know the number of people watching their programs for how much duration during a particular time of the day. A 2018 consultation paper from the Telecom Regulatory Authority of India on television audience measurement defines the importance of these TRPs, stating that better ratings would promote a program while poor ratings would discourage the same. At the same time, incorrect ratings would lead to the production of programs which may not be really popular, while good programs may be left out. While TRPs inform broadcasters about a particular program's progress or regress, it also conveys a channel's overall standing among similar other channels in a specific television genre. When you see channels touting to be number one in either sports, entertainment, or even news, they are actually referring to these ratings. Now, TRP as a metric also helps advertisers analyze a particular advertisement's reach among the viewers of a channel. In a nutshell, higher TRPs translate into better viewership, and better viewership could help an ad reach maximum viewers. According to BARC's What India Watched 2019 report, television viewership in the country clocked around 48.4 trillion minutes in 2019 alone, an uptick from 2018 numbers. For over 830 million individuals who have access to a television set, this implied that a viewer spent over 3 hours and 42 minutes watching television. A few months back, when Indians endured the coronavirus lockdown, television viewing time shot to 4 hours and 48 minutes per day. These 830 million individuals translate into 197 million households with TV sets, which reaffirms that there are 197 million active televisions in the country displaying a variety of programs. Now, BARC does not have access to every single television set in the country to measure viewership, nor is there a real-time counter to calculate what every single household is watching. Even BARC in itself does not know what each viewer watches on the television. To capture viewership and TRP trends, BARC installs what it calls People's Meter or a barometer on television sets in select households. These record the duration of a program being watched by each registered unique member of a family during a particular time of the day. How are these households selected? For over 197 million active televisions in the country, BARC has a predetermined sample size of just over 44,000 barometer empaneled homes. While this number denotes a tiny sample size for measuring television viewership, under the new Consumer Classification System, also called as the NCCS, these households are determined on the basis of a family member's education, occupation, house type, and the ownership of consumer goods. These filters help represent viewership across age groups and a wide range of socio-economic classes who have access to a television set. Thus, TRPs are determined on the basis of what these 44,000 odd households watch and not on the basis of what every single household watches. We may call these ratings as calculated estimations. BARC hires firms such as Hansa Research to install and list these barometers in households. As a preventive measure against tampering, the addresses of these households ideally remain confidential and no one except employees at these agencies know those addresses. Out of a wide range of genres that the television industry offers, news ranks as the third largest group with an average 14% share of the total viewership. This graph shows the viewership share of the top 4 genres in television starting from week 11 to the week 26 of 2020. This 14% viewership share represents news channels from multiple languages. It includes regional languages such as Hindi, Telugu, Kannada, Tamil, Marathi, among many others. These bond together to form over 99% of the total news viewership. On the other hand, English news is left with a minuscule 1% of the total news viewership. That is, out of the total sample size of over 44,000 barometers, this 1% suggests that only around 400 to 500 meters record English news viewership in the country. Even out of those, just around 300 empaneled homes in the country would be regular viewers of English news. This means that the entire country's English news viewership is calculated on the basis of just a few hundred television sets. Now, when the sample size representing English news in the country is so small, manipulating just a few meters from this already smaller set becomes easier. How does that happen? Remember how the addresses of those empaneled homes was a confidential piece of information? Well, those get leaked quite frequently. Like in this case, it is being said that a former employee at the Hansa Research disclosed it. Once a few of those addresses get leaked, a news channel could possibly bribe them in return of watching their channel. As a result, homes where a particular English news channel was previously watched for just 8 minutes on average achieves a viewership of close to 2 hours. Some homes which never tuned into English news start watching those for prolonged periods. Subsequently, manipulating just 4 meters adds considerable impressions when it comes to smaller genres like English news in India. This catapults those channels higher on the TRP charts, while others have to trail. Other gimmicks played to inflate TRPs are broadcasting a channel as the opening or landing page, which means that as soon as you turn on your television set, a particular news channel would be turned on by default. This adds the initial crucial minutes to a channel's ratings. Our reaction to all this manipulation asks if this is as prevalent in the Hindi news industry. Industry insiders claim that to cause a significant shift in Hindi news ratings, it would require the manipulation of over 50 meters, given the fact that the Hindi news viewership is pegged at over 40% of the news genre. Conversely, one of the reasons of easy tampering of English news is its fundamentally smaller viewership. Now, this led me to ask, why is there such a race among English news channels to consistently rank higher on the TRP charts? Is it just the pride and satisfaction of ranking higher and subduing the competition? There is something more to this pride in the deep-pocketed manipulation game, and that is revenue. The two major sources of revenue for the television industry is advertisement and subscription. Advertising forms a major chunk of the TV industry revenues. It clocked 262 billion rupees while subscription revenue was pegged at 158 billion rupees. This graph shows the ad revenue share secured by the news genre. It grabs a 13% share of the entire 262 billion rupees advertisement pie, which equals to 34 billion rupees. This share of ad revenue is shared among all regional news broadcasters. Advertisers usually plan to place their ads on channels that are ranked higher on the TRP charts as they aim to reach maximum viewers. This implies that news channels with larger share of viewership such as Hindi news are able to grab more ads. Now, with the uneven distribution of news viewership, there also comes uneven distribution of ad revenue as well. Veteran journalist Shekhar Gupta in his Cut the Clutter episode 589 titled Arnab Goswami vs. the Rest says that
so news channels rely on the leftovers or on the crumbs that are left over by entertainment and cricket channels.
Here he conveys that the Indian English news segment is destined to receive lesser ad revenues when compared to its counterparts in other major languages, given the fact that its viewership is pegged at less than 1.5% of the entire news genre. All of this creates a mad race among English news channels to consistently rank higher on the English news ranking charts. This TRP manipulation is aimed at extracting as much revenue as possible from advertisers who solely rely on TRP metrics for their media planning. Rigging the TRP system, especially when it comes to English news, is significant given the fact that the winner of the TRP charts takes out most of the ad revenue. This leaves other news channels with insignificant access to that same revenue. Is there a solution to this TRP manipulation saga? Technically, the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting had suggested a chip-based activity log via the use of set-top boxes for the calculation of viewership. The idea was later rejected for some reasons. Keeping the technical aspect aside, the audience needs to realize how fragile these ratings are. We need to understand that ratings are susceptible to manipulation and such cases could possibly pop up in the future as well. We as viewers need to stop considering TRPs as a metric for quality news and instead focus on the kind of news being broadcasted on our television screens. A section of the Indian TV news media, in a bid to inflate ratings and attract viewers, has resorted to aggressive sensationalism, while primetime slots have been synonymous to media trials. All of this is being done to magnetize the audience to an unprecedented tamasha, which naturally influences ratings. On the same hand, with most TV channels having opted for the free-to-air option, their revenues entirely depend on potential advertisements. As advertisers rely on TRP metrics for broadcasting their ads, these manipulated ratings pave way for a new scam. In order to discourage the race that TRPs have attached themselves to, it has become ever important to reject channels which plant hatred for the sake of ratings. In an ever-increasing news media ecosystem, the audience now has a wide range of options to access information. The TRP model too needs a reform. To conclude, we as viewers now have a responsibility.